Dialogue and Cocktails, your honest, no BS, non salesy conversation about enterprise data management. I'm Tim Gasper, also joined by co host Juan Cicada. Hey, Juan.
Hey, Tim, it is always a pleasure to just be talking with amazing guests and be in people's ears so they can take a break and learn about what is the latest thing happening in the data world. And today, I'm super excited that we finally have Dr. Irina Steenbeek, who's a data practitioner, very, very well known. If you have not encountered her work, then I don't know, like, where, under what rock have you been? She's the author of so many books, including the Orange Data Management Framework and one that has been kind of top of my list, the Data Lineage from a business perspective, and multiple other works. Dr. Irina, how are you doing? It is great to finally have you here on the podcast.
Thank you. I'm very happy to see you, not only live, but also online. But I still hope to see you on one of the conferences live. So, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. It's great. Always great initiative to talk to people and to the community.
Well, great. Well, I was just talking before we started recording that we finally met in person last year at the DGIQ conference, and that was literally the day before Tim and I had to go fly out to the public announcement that ServiceNow was acquiring us. So we're like meeting everybody there in person, and then we had to get rushed and like, why are you guys leaving so quickly?
Yeah, there was that drinks networking event afterwards, and we're like, we're hopping on a plane, and they're like, why are you guys leaving right now?
You have to leave. So anyways, it's great that we finally get to have you here. So, but before we kick it off, get our discussion, what are we drinking and what are we toasting for? Again, always the honest, no BS acknowledgement. We are recording this, and it is 9 o'clock in the morning. So I have my coffee with me, but no, still just coffee, right? Irina, what's your favorite go-to cocktail drink right now? What do you want to toast?
Favorite drink, 6 o'clock in the morning, espresso. And I drink only Lavazza. Yeah, so whatever you will offer me, I'll ask immediately, is it Lavazza? I don't know why, but espresso 3 times a day, this is my favorite drink forever. Always been, always will be.
That's very fascinating how you have very direct in what you do.
Yeah, sure.
How about you, Tim? What's the latest on your radar right now for drinks?
Good question. I'm trying to get some different rums, and so I have a nice new Probitas rum that I'm going to get into. So that's the latest on my front. What about you, Juan? Anything happening on the cocktail or drinks front?
Actually, to be honest, I've kind of been stuck. I've been doing the same thing. Every time I travel, I always just get an old fashioned, just because that's always my test of what people are doing. I have been actually telling kind of bartenders, can you try like things I've discussed here before, like, oh, I'm going to try with Aperol or something. And some have been actually pretty interesting. And some people have like, what this guy saying? And they make this all pretty crappy. So,
Juan, I think you need a new phase. You need to step into your tiki phase, I think.
Oof, I don't know.
Get some sugar going on.
No, I don't. We'll think about it. We'll see. Anyways, anything you want to toast for? What's on your mind you want to toast?
Yeah, anything to cheers to?
Yeah, for meeting. It's always like the first toast for meeting, for nicely meeting, and the last will be for the next meeting. Yes, let's keep such a way.
I love that. Cheers to meeting and cheers to meeting again.
I don't have any coffee, only water, but okay.
Well, we can cheers for that. All right.
Let's do it with the water.
We got so much to cover here. Look, I know that kind of your soapbox here is that all roads lead to data, but there is so much going on right now. Like the honest OBS is like, I want to know what's on your mind right now. Like what is, there's data, there's AI, there's governance right now, right? There's semantics, there's metadata right now, there's context, and like this space is just going in so many different places. Honest OBS, what's on your mind and how are you dealing with this?
Let me start the story almost 2 years back. Yeah, I gave a keynote in the regional conference in Vienna, and it was about data management maturity. And somebody from AI industry came to me and asked, what do you think? Do we need separate AI governance for AI generated data? Honestly, I had no idea. Yeah, no idea what he was talking about. My reflection was, why should we have something additional for AI? Why AI generated data? What is the difference? And then I was a little bit arrogant because I sent my proposal for 6-hour workshop about aligning data and AI governance without even having an idea what I was supposed to talk about. It took me 4 months of investigation, and I found finally it's really fascinating topic, because the AI governance is rather, immature, while data governance seems to be very mature. And then I really dived into the topic, yeah, and I continued. It's almost 2 years, and lately, I think last year, 2025, I even published book aligning data and AI governance. However, this topic generates a lot of questions, yeah, and what I've seen in practice, talking to a lot of data and AI practitioners, that opinions whether we need to integrate or don't integrate AI and governance really have totally different opinions, from we don't need it to yes, we must do it. And I also performed twice polls on the topic, yeah, where we are regarding integration and where we need to be. And it's very interesting to see that so far the data and AI governance is not fully integrated, yeah. But I think 75% of respondents say we must integrate it. Yeah, so finally we have a very big gap between what we want to do or what we consider we must do, comparing what happens just now in the industry. So this is one of the very interesting topics also in this relation between data management and AI management. Yeah, because what I would say, data management is mandatory foundation for any AI initiative. So when somebody tells me that, yeah, we need to do AI, do you have data management? No, then for me, it's not really serious conversation. So this is where, and of course, data lineage, which is the topic of our conversation today, it's also very important part of this conversation, and by one reason. Honestly, it took me 3 years to formulate one discovery I've made, because in my background, what I've done, first, I spent, I think, the first 6 or 7 years of my data management practice in developing and implementing data governance or data management frameworks. And then I moved to data lineage. And I again spent several years. So I published one book, I published another book. And only after publishing these books and after years of implementation of these both use cases, I did understand the following. Data lineage and data governance frameworks are two sides of the same coin. Because you require the same data management capabilities, you must deliver the same artifacts from these capabilities. And finally, the statement I was working on for 3 years, so I tried to formulate it correctly, was it looks like that the logic of implementing data governance or data management frameworks follows the same logic as data lineage implementation and vice versa. That's why for me, AI governance has also the same background, because, I discussed the same statement with multiple participants of various workshops I delivered in the US last year. And the statement is very simple. AI system is data, because data comes in. Then you have software or models, which represent finally a data products or a data assets, whatever you want, and data comes out. And underneath you have technology, but sometimes we also consider technology as part of data products. So finally, the question is, what is the difference between our general understanding of data and AI systems? Of course, it's very challenging topic to discuss. There are a lot of opinions, but this is my opinion as simple. Yeah, when we speak about AI, we speak about data. And it's really not separable knowledge areas or business functions or business capabilities within any enterprise. It's a long answer on your short question.
No, this is super. This background is super helpful and interesting, and I think just to kind of rewind and do a little bit of on the fly recap here, you've seen implementation, both theory and implementations around governance for multiple years now, right?
Yeah,
and
sure.
and you've seen governance and lineage, and even just from like a implementation standpoint, separate from that, literally, I remember when data.world first came into the scene, right? At that time, this was like 8 years ago, 7 years ago. the data lineage products were considered separate from governance products. There were two separate categories of product, right? You bought a lineage tool and you bought a
By the
governance.
way, even catalog was separate from
And
governance.
catalog was a third
Yeah,
tool.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure,
And
yeah.
data quality is a fourth tool, and so on and so forth, right? But now lineage and governance and catalog, they're all converged, right? Even from a technology standpoint. And so going back to what you said, right? Sometimes these things, they start off as divergent because maybe the way that the particular use case is a bit nuanced, but then the foundation is the same. And it sounds like you're saying that like AI governance has a lot of the same things, right?
Yeah, there one challenge which I'd like, not challenge, but point I'd like to stress our definition of data lineage, because even when you speak about it, it looks like you speak about technical data lineage or data lineage at the physical level. When I started working on this topic, I did realize very simple thing. The data lineage can be implemented in multiple levels, starting from application flows, going to conceptual, logical, and physical data models. And this is how I see. And finally, in this respect, data lineage, when we speak about it multiple level, require totally different artifacts from totally different capabilities, like data and application architecture. It requires metadata management. It must be linked to business processes. So finally, when we try to link all of these artifacts, we come to data lineage in this wider concept, or wider definition. And then you immediately realize that the same artifacts are required when you implement data management or governance framework. And by the way, they also are the same in respect of knowledge graph, because sometimes I call it data management knowledge graph, because linking all of these artifacts of data management capabilities, you create some sort of net between these artifacts. So it's much more complex than simply thinking about data lineage at the physical level.
No,
And
you're making
by
a
the way,
very good point. Yeah.
yeah, and
That
by the
it's
way,
not
this
just
is
about
what
the
I
technical data lineage.
that I've seen in the industry, especially in financial institutions. Nobody just now speak about data lineage only in the technical or physical level. They speak about every level. You can find, of course, different names for these levels, but the idea remains the same. Everything starts from business processes, application flows, goes to technical level.
I love I love this mindset that you're presenting here, which is really important for folks to realize, depending in the bubble and the silo that they live in, right? So a lot of folks that we talk to live in their data analytics silos, right? Which is for them, their world starts when the data is being ETL'd or EL'd into a data lake, and then they do all their stuff, and their end state is like, oh, these dashboards were built, and they want the data lineage for that, right? And then they also do focus more on the technical lineage for these things. But even that, you realize that you can still stay at the technical level, but much more expansive than that world, because you're going into the applications that are actually being used and how the data moves between applications, which then later on get moved into a data warehouse, data lake. But then over that, you want to be able to start mapping the business processes, how a business process is going to execute this thing over here, and then you keep increasing high level to what are the business capabilities, like this business process runs this part in the business and what is needed. So that's actually what I call, I mean, this is what Tim and I've been calling, like, you want to build this enterprise brain of your organization that is building that entire map of stuff. And to add one more point here is, I completely agree. It's not just the technical metadata. That's why I even talk about, like, there's 3 layers of it. There's like the technical metadata, there's like the business metadata, which that can impact, and then what I call the mapping metadata, which is connecting all the business kind of views of these things to the technical.
Sure. And here it's one important point, because different stakeholder groups require totally different data lineage. I've never seen business people who really would need to understand a table or columns. For them, it's really dark matter. They have no idea what I was talking about. So for them, upper level, high representation, maybe it's something what they need. I've never seen any business people telling me that they were happy taking a look at real technical data lineage tool. It was like, I need everything in Excel, So, but it's what I also would like to discuss with you. I was really very much surprised. A couple of months back, I used LinkedIn as one of their information gathering tools using polls. Yeah, maybe you can create big polls, but at least it gives some sort of indication where we are in the industry. And I set up 3 polls simultaneously. And the first poll was regarding their importance or the biggest impact of different types of challenges, because with data lineage, I classified as organizational, technological, and data management. What do you think it was indicated as the most challenging area for documenting data lineage? Because I personally was very much surprised.
So what were the options again?
Organizational, technological, and data management, like policy.
I would say organizational are the biggest challenges.
Yeah. But personally, I was very much surprised because I thought it was technological. And when I've seen the majority of respondents indicated organizational challenges as the most important one, for me, it was really, bell to get my attention, because I was lately, I've been heavily involved in documenting data lineage, and we discussed a lot different technological problems with that. But I didn't realize that the community worldwide really first of all, faces organizational problems. And then we come back to the topic, the data lineage has totally different stakeholders, and the stakeholders have totally different interests and concerns regarding and needs in data lineage.
Data lineage, I feel like, is a difficult topic because it's such a journey for organizations. And I feel like a lot of them, a lot of the companies I talk to that are maybe a little less forward thinking about data lineage, they're very obsessed with comprehensive technical data lineage. And they get very focused on like, I want to analyze the full lineage from here to there for all my pipelines, like that kind of an approach. What are your thoughts when it comes to people who are thinking that way? Like, is that okay, but you just need to broaden your aperture, or is that bad? Or what do you think
it's
about
not
that?
okay. First of all, let's make it in 3 points. First of all, it's not feasible. Let's make it very simple. It's not feasible by one reason. It's great if they have only SQL databases and then they have everything. But if they have thousands of applications, from which maybe 70% it's not scannable, then I really wish good luck them with documenting technical data lineage in this scope. This is point number 1. Point number 2, it's also very important. Who is going to use it? Why do you need it? Because, I was stupid enough 7 years back when I started my really first implementation with technical team of data lineage. I was my personal stupid enough start clicking and opening each link to check. At some point I did realize it wasn't possible. So this is point number 2. And the point number 3, which may be the most important but overseen by many organizations. Even if data lineage has been documented, you face immediately 3 key questions. Question number 1, is metadata of the required quality? Because I've seen a lot that even in scanned, or especially with reverse engineering metadata, you face a lot of challenges with data quality, metadata quality or data lineage quality.
Mm-hmm.
Second point which comes up is how you're going to prove the metadata is correct. Believe me, I just now experienced a situation when I have been fighting for 1.5 years to move on this idea that we need to perform validation on documented data lineage, and especially discussing how we can do it using technical tools. This is point number 2. Point number 3, who is going to use this technical data lineage? Maybe only technical stuff for some pipelines. And here the point, it's also my personal experience. In my first data lineage project, we spent 1 year on documenting data lineage for 12 applications, and we spent 2 years on building analytics above. Because in fact, it's only few people within an organization will really go through each ETL checking, this huge metadata. Normal business people will require, okay, this is output, this is input, I need to know the relationships. And this is the challenge, because of course, we started talking with Juan about trends in the industry, and also trends in data lineage tools. They matured a lot. Yeah, I've seen a lot of good data lineage tools, and they have some analytics already built in. But again, the simplest way, what it's needed for business people, for data quality analysts, for data analysts, input and output in some points along the chains. So, Mike, I hope I answer your question. What should I tell people? Because it's only bullet points, but behind each bullet point is a long story.
No, I think that's super helpful. And I love point 3, especially that you mentioned around like who is going to use this, because there's probably only a few very technical people and very technical pipelines where people really need truly end-to-end kind of root cause analysis and things like that. But I like what you mentioned, like most folks need the input, the output, and the relationships. And this is still talking about technical kind of lineage, right? Like really what is most valuable is typically more of the business lineage.
Yeah, of course, it's business lineage, but there are also some, of course, the ability to document the full scope data lineage very much depends on the scope of organization and scope of the project itself. When it comes to a couple of thousands applications, I think it becomes a mission impossible. If you have 20 applications, it's another story. Yeah, but then the story, do you need data lineage at all? Maybe you know everything from your head. Because when I started working on my first project related to data governance, we had 10 applications, and I knew all databases from my head. It was also the truth. So, do we need data lineage? Answer: yes, absolutely. But then we need to be very reasonable regarding the scope of data lineage. Data lineage by itself, it's not the goal by itself. Yeah, you need to know you need to see the business value from it. That's why I always recommend, to think about scoping of data lineage. Maybe for non-critical data pipelines, you don't need it. Maybe for non-critical pieces of your pipelines, you don't need it. But of course, some industries, especially like financial institutions, they must have it. Yeah, and sometimes you face a problem. You can't document everything by scanning. What you're going to do? Third-party applications, we can scan them. Some applications, they don't have technology how to scan them. Then you face a lot of troubles. And there is one last bullet point for point 3. It's maintenance. It's not only question maintenance, archiving, and versioning control. I haven't seen never that when I ask how it's going about archiving, and you should start immediately thinking about the volumes of data, metadata you need for it. Yeah, where are you going to store it? Versioning control, and the same. I'm not sure about data vault, but I do recall that only Menta, just now it's Menta, IBM company, they had some sort of functionality to demonstrate versioning controls changing. Yeah. But normal tools, you don't have this functionality. Purview, I haven't seen it. No, but this is it's very important question. It's also maintenance. If tomorrow data lineage or databases has been changed, I assure that and it's always require the same cycle, yeah? Rescan again, and again, revalidate. And who is going to do it? Because even if people don't know how they're going to validate it now.
Yeah. No, you bring up a really good point, which, going back to the phrase that you used, metadata quality, I think there's some people think, if they're not really thinking about the bigger picture, that achieving metadata quality is kind of one directional, where you achieve coverage and now you've achieved it. Like now you have metadata coverage, right? But actually there's entropy, right? Like over time, the systems are changing, the business is changing, people come and go. And so you have to actually think about the surface area, not just as, okay, a destination, but it's an ongoing maintenance.
Yeah, it's ongoing maintenance. Yeah, it's true. And furthermore, I experienced this also My personal experience, which I discussed also with some, it's not colleagues, but people from Mentor, top management of Mentor. Even if one application is almost fully scannable, it's still not guarantee, first of all, that everything scanned correctly, yeah? And it still can, we can have some sort of black boxes for which we need to perform some reverse engineering, maybe, or we will not get it at all. So finally, the dream about fully scannable data, automatically scannable data lineage, it's dream. Yeah, it's not realizable so far, and I don't think it will be
That's an
realized.
important call out, just for people listening. Is like, if any vendor is promising you we automatically scan and generate the full view, that is called BS right there, my friends. So
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
and earlier you talked about like SQL, for example. As people are adopting Databricks and things like that, we're seeing much more now, like people using Python and other types of non-deterministic scripting languages. And Gen AI can maybe do like a 70% interpretation or something like that, which maybe is something. But if you don't have determinism in your code, it can be very hard to do
yeah. It
automatic
can be very hard, but
lineage.
then again, coming back for the reason why do you need it?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so let's double click on this more, because um, I would love. Can you share like the why reasons for data lineage? I mean, the obvious ones that we always hear, right? It's impact analysis and root cause analysis, right?
Yeah.
More from the technical perspective, right? We're going to make a change in the warehouse. What is that going to go impact, right? Somebody's complaining that these numbers don't match, or the dashboard isn't working. Right? We go look, and the data engineers look into. Those are the common things that we look at, right? Then there's also regulations, right? People want to
Yeah,
know.
regulations. This is the most. Yeah, this is the
So I need
most
to be
impactful
able to
factor.
provide audibility. Like, here's this number that's generated, that's reported. Here's how it's calculated. What else are you seeing as like as business values that this is that being able to have a
You
robust
know,
lineage?
let me give you one very simple example I often use. Maybe people don't like what I say, because very often people concern only about data quality. Yes, and they started their initiatives around data quality. What they do forget that you can't do anything regarding data or improving data quality without having the full set of mandatory data management capabilities, like metadata management, like data governance, like data and application architecture. You must have everything, and only after that you can start doing something with data quality. So for me, without having data lineage in place and vision, you cannot improve your data quality. And finally, why all of these concerns? Because honestly, one of their biggest challenges, which I've seen in practice, it's not data analytics, it's data sourcing. Yeah, because nobody really knows where data comes from. And unfortunately, the large organizations still have this spaghetti architecture. Doesn't matter how many lakes they have, how many warehouses they have, it still remains spaghetti architectures. So to reduce the costs, operational costs, IT costs, you still need to somehow streamline, to operationalize, to optimize your underlying data and application architecture. So this is for me different angles of why we need data lineage. Yeah, but then, I can share with you, maybe it's a little bit anecdotic situation with business people regarding data lineage. Because when I started the data lineage initiative in 2018, the first what I've done, I approached business stakeholders, explaining them what data lineage was and how they can use it. And believe me, it continues for 4 months, yeah, because I wanted to gather their requirements. I wanted to involve them in the process. Believe me or not, for 2 years I spoke the same people and I got the same questions back. And when I explain them, when I speak about data lineage, I really mean metadata lineage. Yeah? They can see only tables, columns. Business people have no idea what I was talking about. Always the first question, how do I know how data itself has been integrated, has been modified, has been processed? And I explained with data lineage, you can't see it, you can see only, and they say, and one person, he really picked me up because I use for data lineage. Yeah? But he said, you explain that you mean metadata lineage, but you speak about data lineage. Maybe is there some solution still that I can, okay, this is 1 million and this is underlying invoices and I simply need to see what happened to data. So finally, and the interesting topic, later on, I spoke to some colleagues in the US and one of their project managers in data lineage, she told me, it was opening eyes when you start talking about it. Because I gave a name, data value lineage, because she said, I even didn't understand what business people wanted from me. And this this is the point,
This is a this is a fascinating point. A couple of things I want to unpack here. Well, first of all, it's true. It should be really called metadata lineage. What we talk about. Right?
Yeah, we must call it metadata.
The data lineage itself. So, because you also said you have a profound statement here, which says, without data lineage, you can't really improve your data quality. And I can negate that, and I'm saying, no, I could do data quality without data lineage, and we can have a good argument around that stuff. And I think that's why I call it a profound statement. But I'm with you on this. And let me unpack a little example here that I've kind of been going through is, let's say you start modeling, right? An example we've been using internally is like you have orders and customers and products and people buy a product and there's a shipment and the invoices get sent and stuff, right? So if all of this data, right, gets, let's say I have it into my data warehouse, my lake, and I realize, wait, all orders that have been shipped, they must have an invoice. So if there is shipped orders that haven't have an invoice, well, that's a problem that I should be charging, right? So some people would say, well, the shipped order doesn't have an invoice. That's a data quality issue because there's a null or something happened around that stuff. But what you really want to be able to go think about is like, no, there was some business process that occurred. That, first of all, there's a business process that occurred. And for some reason, which we need to understand what that process is, the invoice wasn't sent, or it was sent and hasn't been paid for. It hasn't been, and maybe that is something, it's a manual process. Maybe that's something that has been automated, but it stopped working for a while, whatever. So then you see that somebody is looking at that data right there in that scope and they're saying, well, we have all these invoices that haven't been paid for. There's a data quality issue, right? Or we don't know which ones actually have not been paid for, and there can be part of a process. So that it connects that lineage right there with more of the process and so forth. And then what you really want to think about a data, if I now think about like the instance, like I want to be able to follow the lineage of a particular order that was made. This order had consisted of these different set of shipments, but there's an entire invoice to the so I should be able to even see the lineage of that particular order, do that regardless of the metadata. So anyways, I'm starting off to random, but this makes total sense to me, and I'm really glad that you brought up this distinction.
Okay, I'm happy that I made something useful in my half-an-hour talk.
Like how Irina was like, yes, Juan, good.
Well, hopefully it's also valuable, useful for our listeners to think about that way. But anyways, perfect distinction. I want to connect to something we started off at the beginning, which was AI. So you're talking about like data governance and AI governance, and right now they're disconnected. Like, what does integrated look like? So how does an integrated, because you said like data governance and AI governance, it's not integrated today. What would it look like? What does it mean to be integrated? What does it actually look like to be? And what is the role of lineage in all of this?
For me, first of all, it's very, let me first rephrase, because initially I spoke about integrated frameworks. Then I came up with aligned, because what I mentioned, some companies don't see really the need to do it. And there are several factors that may influence the level of integration or alignment. And first of all, it's company culture. Believe me, because some companies which I've seen, they simply put AI governance under CDO, Chief Data Officer, and that's great, But some keep them separately. But let's make it very simple. All data management capabilities are required for AI governance, or for AI management. You still need to measure data quality. And for me, it's a question, okay, for AI generated data, maybe you need to set up some additional requirements you may set up, but the process itself will be the same. And then the question comes, what governance at all, what it is, yeah? It's operating model. It's your hierarchy, it's all committees, it's all roles. And then my question is, very simple, how many governance frameworks or governance committees any organization has? And it can be dozens, and interesting point that the same people are in the same committees. Let's think about data management, data governance committee, yeah, or whatever steers. Then we have architectural board, then we have IT, then we have, and almost, especially business people, are sitting in all of these committees. So my question, why do we need to have so many committees? Yeah, so this is first of all. And then, of course, distribution of duties. Of course, it's understandable for AI, we should have something different. But again, let's make it very simple. We need to have catalogs of applications. We need to have data catalogs. We need to have AI catalogs, especially I am in Europe. Yeah, we have just now our AI, European Union AI Act, which is very strict. And you need to catalog, you need to control everything. Why should you separate it? Especially, for example, some AI industry frameworks, they require data management as a part of AI governance. For example, ISO 42,000, something like that, they require data management as part of it. It's also part of requirements for European Union AI Act for high-level risk AI systems to have data management in place. Or finally, because in any case, you will face the situation when you need to do the same activities. So if you're asking me how it looks like, for me, it's data management is foundational, which shares some similar capabilities, like, for example, compliance can be the same, business architecture can be shared, IT functionalities also can be shared. So finally, modeling can be shared. So finally, a lot of, data modeling, not AI models. So for me, this is a question mark, and the question mark, I cannot answer you immediately, but in my opinion, data management or data governance requires a set of common foundational capabilities. And I consider it as governance, enterprise architecture, which can consist of 4: metadata management, data quality, and data analytics. So whenever I talk to the companies, every company who do something in the area of data management governance, they usually have everything. And then AI, of course, it also will depend, but interesting enough that I haven't seen in any industry frameworks that complete set of required AI capabilities, because last almost 2 years, I spent a lot of time on investigating and analyzing different AI frameworks. And they are very fragmented. They cover different pieces. They don't really show the whole scope what is required.
Yeah, I like what you're saying about how if you've got a lot of this common foundational aspects that cut across applications and data and AI, and you're implementing a lot of shared process between those, maybe you're a large enough organization that needs to diverge some of these different activities, but it all has a lot of overlap and similarity and a lot of the same people. So you shouldn't be thinking of them in a silo. You have to be thinking of it as a unified program.
The same, business people, the data stewards, they serve the needs of data management, but the same people will be involved in AI. But, furthermore, we should think about it. In my head, I have it's in some 4 layers. We have business capabilities or business use cases. Data management supports them. Then metadata management support data management. Metadata management, data management. But AI supports everything. It supports business operations. It's you have multiple use cases for sales, etc., but it also support data and metadata management. Because even I'm sure in your tools you also use some AI techniques just now. It will be strange.
But it's a feat. But it's like it's a cycle here, because data is also needed for this, and like
it's like cycle. I consider it as a pyramid, but it's really multi-dependable
Yeah,
because
because
it's
you can use AI to help these things, and
yeah,
all these things help
and
AI.
you need data management for AI. You can't do anything without having data management.
Yeah.
As simple as it is. So finally, this relationship is difficult to demonstrate graphically because it's
Well, if we take away like the talk about data governance and AI governance, so let's take the word data and AI away from this concept of governance. What is AI kind of now forcing uh, new into kind of the governance capabilities and just frameworks and stuff that wasn't done before because we're focusing so much on the data aspect?
I would say it simplifies developing of policies, aligning policies. It's really very nice tools to align all our intentions. This is how I see it. It's nice for modeling, modeling data itself. It helps a lot. So finally, AI can be used for different capabilities. But of course, the key point, what we mean by governance, because it's one of my investigations for years that we don't have an aligned definition of governance. Somebody mix governance by management, and it's honestly what happened in each audience. I come in to deliver workshop. It's that topic I really need to align from the early beginning. And I start asking what you understand as management and governance. And then happened that it's 50-50. So somebody understands something, what is management, what is governance, or they mix them. There is never a consensus what data management and governance is. So I really started writing articles, I think somewhere my first presentation on this topic was in 2019, I think, in Boston.
Hmm.
And since then, the situation has worsened. We don't have an aligned definition. So for me, that's why I'm really reuse management and governance, hoping that everybody listen to me, understand in their own way.
What is your definition of data governance?
Honestly, last year, because my understanding is also evolving, believe me. What I've done a year back, I simply went to common English dictionaries, like Oxford and Merriam-Webster, and I start checking. And it's very simple. Governance is oversee and control. And data management is plan, execute, control what they do, and maintain. So it looks like that governance should oversee what management does. But sometimes I really, I made some joke during webinar. It was even some joke slide that data management says, I plan, decide, and do something with data, but data governance must decide how I must decide. Yeah, so it looks like that. And believe me, one of the shocking discoveries I've made a couple of years back is, again, if you take a look in Oxford Dictionary, management and governance are synonymous. So years back, somebody in data management community decided that governance and management should be separated. But then when we go to normal life, we very often use governance and management interchangeably. And it creates problems. So for me just now, I don't care how people call it, governance, management, we need simply align that we speak the same language. It's always my call for action. Within enterprise, you must align your language. Because in the industry, it becomes mission impossible. You never can. Because it's also very obvious that industry guidelines like DEMA and BECOM, they really clearly separate governance is about policies and management, everything else. But then Gartner totally reused and used governance for describing management in terms of DEMA and DECOM. And this is what happened. Yeah. So finally, it's Babylonic talk which we have in our data management.
Well, I always say, well, my definition of governance, but I think I'm actually going to maybe expand it a little more. But it's like I just want to enable people to do amazing things with data safely.
Yeah. That doesn't matter how they call it. Yeah. So for me, just now,
No,
I have my own
management.
language. Yeah. I have my own language. I even struggle which word to use better to give people, understanding what they use. But I also can provide you a very funny example. It's a true example with one of my first customers. They told me, they was thinking how to call their framework, whether data management or governance, for 3 months. And the conclusion was the following. We understand that we are implementing data management framework, but we will give name governance because management is not considered as important. People don't respect the word management, they respect the word governance.
Oh.
That
would be the other way around, but okay.
It's a true story. And since then, I am really trying to be very, very relaxed. I have my own understanding. It's exactly what I meant. Governance oversees, controls, gives direction, and management does it. But then if we start talking about framework, I think we speak about management framework. We don't speak about governance framework. Governance is part of framework itself. So in this respect, I simply support the approach Dema took. The governance is one of the data management capabilities. So simple. But then in my opinion, I split it in 2 areas. Enterprise-wide governance, where we set up operating models and governmental structures, and I call it data role architecture. So which roles do we need? And then I go to each capability, like metadata management. And metadata management, I need to have policies, roles, and processes. And this is also capability-specific governance. So this is my way of view, but it's not, I don't say it's, it's a lot.
That's actually super helpful to break it down that way.
Yeah, before we go to lightning round, I just want to make a comment that I truly, truly appreciate how very honest and no BS you are, and you're sharing your examples. And I like how you start off like, I proposed this thing and I haven't even read what was gonna go do, and then it changed. Like that is just that people need to learn to hear these things too. So
well, and this is reality, right?
Exactly, this is the reality. People see things and they're like, oh yeah, that people just know all these things. Like, no, there is an entire journey that people go through, and they have a position and they learn, and the position evolves and changes, and that is totally fine. And you have really not only shared your positions, but you've shared kind of your thought process around that, and I think that's also extremely valuable. So I'm really thankful for you sharing that.
Okay, thank you, Juan. Thank you very much.
Well, all right, lightning round time. All right, here we go. First question. Should data governance teams be in charge of AI governance?
Yeah.
All right. Second question. Are there some use cases around data governance where data lineage is actually the starting point?
No.
All right.
I love your clarity of answers here.
But I've been told yes, no, sir. I give.
Some people, they answer the lightning round. They're like, yeah.
You can tell me if you want to explain. I can, 5 minutes provide some explanations, but no.
Right. Does AI explainability require data lineage?
Yes and no.
Okay, expand on that.
Yeah, no. For me, let me share with you some example. Yeah, it's very interesting because my affiliation with AI started in 2017. I just finalized, I got my TOGAF certificate, and okay, what is the next? And at the time, all people start speaking about data science. I had no idea about what data science was, so I started Googling. I always start Googling. And I said, it's something that I should learn. And I completed that the Microsoft Professional Certificate Program for data science. It took me 7 months. It was a great program. After that, I realized I would never work as an AI practitioner, but it was really very, very good experience. And it was very strange because at the same time, I started some collaboration with one international association of FP&A, financial planning and analysis professionals. And they also started thinking how to use data science and finally machine learning for predictions, etc., etc. It was impossible to explain people, very, very difficult to explain that sometimes it's black box. Yeah. You put data in, you take data out, and you must trust it. So finally, the same happened to AI. You should have data lineage in order to know where the data comes from. But what happened within the models, you can't do it. So finally, it's like data lineage. It's black box and data lineage itself. If you cannot scan application, you accept the fact it's a black box.
That's interesting because like what we talked about before, like, oh, if you reverse engineer, how do you know, how do you trust? It's like same thing. I mean, these AI models are just the same thing. If there's an application or in some code that you don't really understand.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. All right. Fourth and final lightning round question is actually a quick open-ended question. What is the biggest mistake that you see organizations do around data governance? If you had to point to one, your top thing.
Ignore it. If they say we don't need it. And, as I mentioned, I several times referred to my polls. And once last year, I performed a very simple poll. The same questions, one regarding AI governance and another regarding data governance. And you can't believe that importance of data governance was much lower than AI governance. So for me, it was like, no questions anymore, no comments. Yeah, if we don't need data governance, but we must have AI governance, people don't know what they're talking about. So for me, ignoring the fact that before you start thinking about using AI, you must have data governance. It's it's simply as rule as this.
I like that. If people say we need AI governance more than data governance, then
I'm
talking about.
I shared
that's they call BS right there. That's a good one. All right, Tim, take us away with takeaways.
All right. I mean, we had such an exciting and very helpful conversation to navigate around AI and data governance and also data lineage. So we started off with all roads lead to data and kind of what's on your mind right now. And you said that kind of throughout your career, you've been working on data governance frameworks and then data lineage frameworks, and more recently around AI governance, and went into them kind of thinking, okay, maybe, open-minded, maybe these are different, right, from each other, but actually you found a lot of common foundation across all of them, right? Which I think is really important. And it means that it's not like all these disciplines are so different. Even data management and data governance, which, we'll go into in a little bit later, is they share a lot of overlap as well. And that's okay. That's just the messy reality of trying to deliver on these different things. And you said that in data lineage, you really saw that data governance and lineage were two sides of the same coin. And it's not just technical. Data lineage is at multiple levels: the logical, the business, the process flows, requires different capabilities and things like that. And what you really want to do is focus on not just the technology part, right, but the organizational part, because you did your kind of your surveys and your research, and people are struggling the most with the organizational part. And should we do data lineage for everything? You said very clearly, it is not feasible. If you're trying to boil the lineage ocean, you are doing mission impossible. And if you have 2,000 applications, that's just not going to work. But if you have 20, okay, maybe it's workable. And think about, what are your use cases, right? Who is going to use the metadata? How are you going to prove that the metadata is correct? And what is the required quality? And data lineage is not a goal in and of itself. It depends on your industry, your use cases. Think about the business use case first. So I thought that was very valuable.
Yeah.
Juan, what about you? What were your big takeaways?
So we talked about like why data lineage and the kind of use case scenario. So we talked obviously like the impact analysis, root cause analysis, the regulations. And then I think the big one we talked about was like, hey, organizations have all this spaghetti code, right? And then all these applications makes the point-to-point solutions. Data lineage helps you untangle that mess, especially if you're really focused on operational efficiency and how to make things more efficient. Your position is without data lineage, you can't really improve data quality. And I put that's a T-shirt. I think that should be a T-shirt. You walk around with that T-shirt, people will want to start a conversation with you on that.
Very nerdy T-shirt, but yeah.
So then we said, talk about data and AI governance integrated, right? And the big thing, it starts with company culture, right? Is it under the CDO or is it separate, right? Is data governance is needed for your AI? You need the data quality. There's processes that are going to be the same for data and AI. So what is governance for you? What is your operating model? If you have so many different governance frameworks, like there's different people, the same people being all these different committees, right? like that's a big cultural aspect. We have to talk about catalogs of data, of applications of AI. Like, why should those things all be separate? We need to be, that's what this integrated will look like. There's a lot of common foundations, so we should build on those common foundations on data management. Compliance will be the same or very similar. Business architecture can be shared. Enterprise architecture. And there's still a lot of confusion between data management and governance, right? We were having the discussions about the definitions, and that was a great section right there. How did we do? Anything we missed?
No, I think no.
All right. Well, to wrap up here quickly, what's your advice? Who should we invite next? And what resources do you follow?
I would recommend you to invite Christina Haskell. She's my colleague from US. I can share with you the name later. She is a very famous or well-known specialist in AI governance and also AI culture. And I think it would be nice if you'd like to continue the AI story. I would really provide you with the name, and I really would recommend you to contact her.
That would be great. Yeah.
My sources, it's interesting. Mainly LinkedIn, yes, or finally, but I do on LinkedIn simply review what happened in the industry. Yeah, Inside Gems is also something what I follow up. Do I read books? I can take a look, yeah, but honestly, maybe not. For me, one of the biggest sources of all of my developments is talking to professionals. It's really what I've been doing. Last time I started organizing my self-QA sessions. I ask and also invite people simply to share their challenges and try to find solution. Yeah, because for me, the most important findings, pragmatic, practical, feasible solutions, not theorized. Of course, I can develop models, but it's simply for explaining what we are talking about. But the key point is to find a solution. So for me, the biggest source of information is simply practical projects and people. Talk to people. Really tackling the real challenges and thinking how we can solve it. And yeah, my next, I opened 3 years back a Data Crossroads Academy, and just now I simply will restart it again. It's almost a new site is done. So it's one of my steps for this year, my plans for this year.
Well, that's great advice. Talk to people, smart people like yourself.
That's important. Well, thank you so much. This was a very profound conversation, I think, and very opening. Again, it's one of the things I really love, that you were really open and shared with everybody. Cheers, and looking forward to seeing you at the next conference in person.
Thank you. Yeah, my water. Okay.
Bye.
Have a good day. Okay, thank you very much for inviting me, and I really enjoyed our session.
Yes, likewise. Thanks, Irina.